Hare Krishna everyone. Today we will be starting 15th chapter. Hare Krishna. We welcome you all to chapter 15. We pay our humble obeisance to Shri Radha Govinda. Shri Radha Govinda ki jai. Start with the Mangalachan. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yen Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshtarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Katadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. All glories to Prabhupada Acharya Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, His Holiness Pataka Swami Guru Maharaj, and Temple President, His Grace Namanesta Prabhuji. We pay our humble obeisance to His Srila Prabhupada, His Holiness Pataka Swami Guru Maharaj, and His Grace Namanesta Prabhuji. So, in the 14th chapter, we started from the first chapter, in which Bhagavad Gita we started with the various taking part in the how the basically the scene is set and how the Dhritarashtra inquires, and then the 5 questions of the Arjuna were there, which were answered directly by the Krishna himself in the second chapter. Then we started with the third chapter of the Karma Yoga. Then we went to the action in Krishna consciousness. Then we go with Jnana Yoga in the fourth chapter, and fifth chapter in action in Krishna consciousness. Then we discussed in the sixth chapter the Dhyana Yoga. Then we started the Bhakti Yoga part, and how to attain the who is absolute, who is the absolute, how to absolute, who is the how to attain the absolute. And in the ninth chapter we discussed upon the confidential knowledge, Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam. Then we saw the opulences of the absolute. Then in 11th chapter the Virat Rupa we have shown. Then the pure bhakti we saw in the 12th chapter. And then we started with the Gyan Yoga part, to gauge our bhakti from the 13th chapter to the coming to the 13th chapter was about the Kshetra and Kshetragna, difference between the knower of the field and the field itself. And then the 14th chapter, that how to what is the difference, what are the 3 modes of material nature, how these 3 modes of material nature is actually acting in this world, right? So 14 various, the sections of the 14th chapter were the liberation, the liberation and the conditioning of the living entity, and 14.1 5 to 9, the description of the binding of the pure soul by 3 modes, right? How the soul is binded by or attached by the 3 modes. Then from 10 to 13, that recognizing the supremacy of mode within a person, that how a person is acting can be seen by the 3 modes. Is he acting in, Satoguna? Is he acting in Rajoguna? Is he acting in a, Tamoguna? And 14 to 18, we saw that what are the actions and depth within the modes, right? What kind of actions one does in different modes, right? In 1927, we saw the transcending modes. How? By Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So now today is the Purushottama Yoga 15th chapter, in which there are 4 sections. And the first section from first to fifth shloka are detachment, becoming detached from the material world. How to do that? The reflection of the spiritual world will be discussed. From 6 to 11, we will discuss Purushottama Yoga, the transmigrations. And 12 to 15, we discuss the Purushottama Yoga, Krishna's position as the maintainer, right? Who is the Purushottama Yoga, right? Who is the Purushottama? Who is Purushottama? We will discuss how the Krishna is the Purushottama. And 16 to 20, we will discuss the 3 shloka Bhagavad Gita, summarizing the Vedas and the Vedanta kind of living entities, right? The, important, which is basically the, the sar of all the, all the Vedas, right? It will be discussed in this shloka. So first part, we started first part, how to become detached from the material world, the reflection of the spiritual world, right? You can see here, it is the reflection here, upside down tree is there. It is various, you can see various trees there, Brahma is there, and down below, various lokas there, then various fruits are there, religiosities for fruits, sense gratification are the fruits, and the sense objects are there, right? Pious activities, Vedic hymns, right? All these are given here. तो श्री भगवान उवाच ऊर्ध्वमूलम् अधः सखम् अश्वत्थं प्रभुरव्ययम् चादं शिवस्य पर्णानि यस्तं वेद स वेदवित्. The Supreme Personality Godhead said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward, right? It's upside down, right? The roots are upwards and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. So what are the leaves? Leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas, right? So one must know then how this tree is, right? The roots are above, the roots are above, and the branches are below. We are enjoying the fruits of it, right? Various fruits are there. logicity, right? And sense gratification, economic development, all these are the fruits that one wants to enjoy in that. One has a desire, then this comes, right? So material world is upside down. It is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. In the spiritual, what happens? The trees is, trees is upwards and roots are down, right? But in the material world, what it is there, the fruits are downwards and the roots are upwards, right? We need to go to the roots to in order to go to the spiritual world. It's just a perverted reflection of the material world, right? So material world is described as an upside down banyan tree. Secondly, why entire material world is compared to a banyan tree? For one, engagement, because there are fruits in a, in a tree. What is there? Fruits are there, right? And it is deep, right? It is deep. It has roots, it has branches very deep, because one has desires and longings very deep. So there is no end to this banyan tree, which is very, very deep rooted. One wanders from branch to branch with no end, right? If one is after the fruits, then there is no end to this tree, right? So what are the purpose of the Vedic hymns? From the fruits, you go a little more deeper into consciousness, you go to the Vedic hymns, right? To elevate oneself gradually from material conditioning to spiritual life. One will, from the leaves, what will happen? One will be trying to go to the roots, right? So why understand this tree of illusion? To get out of this world, right? One who understands this indestructible tree of illusion can get out of it by the sword of detachment, right? If this tree is there, right? This tree is in the form of, there are various roots and there is various leaves. So you need to cut this tree. How you cut this tree? By detachment. If you are detached to the Vedic hymns, and detached, or you are detached to the fruits, then what will happen? You will go to the roots. So what is the purpose of extrication? The devotional service is the best way, as explained by all chapters, right? In the Bhakti Yoga chapter, 12th chapter also, we learned that the best process is the Bhakti Yoga. So detachment from material activities and process of attachment by transcendental science, right? So material world, upside down banyan tree, right? So chapter 15 refutes the impersonalism, right? There is, the impersonalism is not there, right? Because, roots are there, the roots are there at the Krishna's level, right? So in this chapter, the, monism, the philosophy of monism is basically is refuted. So which says that spiritual world consists of undifferentiated Brahman only, right? It's not only the Brahman, right? So what does it means to know the Veda? It means that one knows how to cut off the attachment to this material world. By the Vedas, what you will know that how to cut the, get aloof from this material world. How to do that? By detachment. One who is attracted by ritualistic Vedic formula is just attracted by beautiful green leaves of the banyan tree and does not know the purpose of Vedas, right? So how to know the Vedas? The purpose of Vedas is to know Krishna, right? If you know Krishna, then you know Vedas. If you are reading Vedas and you are just doing all the fruitive, karma kandas, then it will not benefit, right? The beautiful leaves are there. You will still be in those, in the tree only. So the branches of this tree, the branches, we learned that the leaves are the Vedic hymns. Now what is the branches? The branches of this tree extend downward and upward, nourished by the three modes of material nature. The twigs are the objects of 10 senses, right? Now Krishna is explaining, you assume a tree, as the roots are upwards and downwards are their branches, right? And then the branches, the leaves are the Vedic hymns. And what are the, who is nourishing this tree? The three modes of material nature is nourishing this tree, right? That's why it is going, it's because it's got not getting destroyed, right? And what are the twigs? The twigs are the senses. The tree also has roots going down, and these are bound to fruitive actions of human society, right? This is the tree. So material world is tree nourished by three modes of fruitive activities, right? The different species manifest according to the proportions of the modes, right? Different species will be there. Whatever your modes are there, whatever your consciousness you develop, then the species will be there. Sometimes you find that tract of land is barren for want of sufficient water, and sometimes the tract is very green likewise. So similarly, when particular modes of material nature are proportionally greater in quantity, the different species of life are manifested accordingly, right? So whichever mode is predominant, right? Whichever mode is predominant in its quantity, the different species will be active. If you are dominant in Tamoguna, one will be, animal kingdom will be in, right? If one is the Rajoguna, then he will be in a human form. And one is, Satoguna, he will be elevated to the heavens, right? So in the further explanation of this, the branches of this banyan tree are spread in all directions, right? So in the lower parts, there are variegated manifestation of living human beings, animals, horses, right? Different kinds of animals. Whereas on the upper parts are higher forms of living entities, right? The demigod, Gandharvas, and many other higher species, right? Some of them are elevated there. As the tree is nourished by water, so this tree is nourished by the three modes of material nature, right? So the instead of water, what is there? The three modes of material nature is there to nourish them. Just as some tracts of land are barren, right? We recently did this, land are barren, and some tracts green depending on the availability of water. Depending on the prevalence of particular modes of material nature, different species of life are manifested, right? Whatever mode is there, whatever nourishment is there, will be through the three modes of material nature. If you transcend these three modes of material nature, then you will be above the roots, right, to the original tree. The twigs of the tree are considered as sense objects, right? Sight, smell, sounds, taste, form, and touch, and so on, right? So by development of the different modes of nature, we develop different sizes, right? Different modes we have, different, different sizes of ears, whatever sense objects, are there. The skin and mouth analyzed to the tips of the branches. Through these senses, we enjoy different varieties of sense objects, right? We have lots of, five karmendriyas and five gyanendriyas by the knowledge acquiring senses, and, doing the working senses are, are 10 senses, right? So these senses are there. The senses are associated with the enjoyment of different sense objects, right? The subsidiary roots are attachment and aversions, which are byproducts of different varieties of sufferings and sense enjoyment, right? The roots further are, getting more, branched again and again to the, subsidiary roots, which are what? Which are basically the, the good activities, pious activities, and in the sinful activities. Those are those, right? So the tendency toward piety and impiety are considered to develop from these secondary roots, right? Spread in all directions, right? So this, one's life basically is a branch, getting further expanding like this. The real root is from Brahmaloka, right? The other roots are in the human planetary system. The real root is where? The real root is the Brahmaloka. Other roots are in various human planetary systems like Bhuloka. After one enjoys the results of virtuous activities in the upper planetary systems, right? This whole tree, the upper planetary systems will be, the Indraloka and all. He comes down to this earth and new renews his karma or future activities for promotion, right? Again and again, one comes again, it's like a bank balance, right? For example, if there is a bank, you are putting some money to deposit. Similarly, your karmic activities are being deposited, right? Now, whenever there is enough karmic activities that it is encashed, right? It can be encashed to have a post of Indra. It can be encashed, to have a sense enjoyment, whatever this. Ultimately, sense gratification is there, which is encashed from that bank. So this planet of human beings, which the earth is considered the field of activities, right? So banyan tree, right? The entanglement of the material world. Yeah, beta. So in here, there is the banyan tree entanglement of the material world. 15.1, the reflecting medium one is there. Original tree is this, first we Krishna described that original tree is the spiritual world, right? Material world is just a perverted reflection. Secondly, the nourishment is through three modes of material nature. Then what are the, the real root is not in the at the Brahmaloka. Secondary roots are human planetary system, the Bhuloka, right? And the downward is spread in all directions, right? Subsidiary roots are what? Pious and pious activities, right? Attachment and aversions, which will lead to the byproducts of suffering and sense enjoyment. And there are tendencies towards PT and impt are considered to be these secondary roots. Then there are branches, upper and the lower. 14 planetary systems are there. And various manifestations are there, right? Lower parts of the branches are human beings, animals, right? They different, branches are being. Vedic hymns are the green leaves. Twigs are the sense objects. Tips of the branch, senses, eyes, ears, nose, hair, pipe. The fruits, the 15 fruits of the jivas, dharma, artha, kama, and moksha, right? What is the karma of a jiva? Why we are come here? What is the karma linked to? There is a dharma, then there is a artha, then there is a kama, then moksha, right? Because we learned in the previous chapter, one is following his dharma, absolutely fine. What will happen? Artha will come automatically, right? The, The Lord takes care whatever, right? Whatever he one has, he takes care. He basically preserves, and whatever one lacks, he gives. So if one is following the dharma, artha will automatically come, right? You don't have to work for it. And there is kama, that is the desire, and there is the moksha, that is the liberation. This is the karma of a jiva, right? So living entities involvement hops from one branch to another, trying to taste the fruit. Can't see how far the tree extends or where it ends, right? Although living entities are eternal fragment parts of Krishna, they are struggling with the senses, right? This is 15.7. So the real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends, right? Where it begins or where its foundation is. But with determination, one must cut down this tree with the weapon of detachment. So doing, one must seek that place from which, having once gone, one never returns. And there surrender to that Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom everything has begun and in whom everything is abiding since time immemorial. So doing one must what seek that place from which one having once gone never returns, right? What we have to do, we have to jump, come out of this tree. For that, what we have to do, we have to cut down this tree. How to do that? From the weapon of detachment. The most important thing is the weapon of detachment, abhyas, because Krishna recommends not only abhyasin, he also recommends vairagya. Right, we don't have to, if you are doing only chanting, yes, it will purify you, but that your life can end anytime, right? Your life can end anytime. So what we have to, we have to expedite the process. How? By doing both the things simultaneously, right? Firstly, abhyasen, by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Secondly, doing the vairagya by following four regulative principles, and whatever orders are given by the spiritual master. That what will then what it will lead to, one can do, do the detachment part, right? Weapon of detachment, how to use that weapon of detachment is like this only, recommended by the spiritual master. So the desired result, the year, I'll just this. So text 3 to 4, what is the text 3 to 4 says? The real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world, right? Use the X of detachment, right? The tree is not real, but a reflection of the real tree, right? So impossible to fully understand the real tree, right? Because it upwards, right? We cannot even understand this bhulaka, it's inconceivable. And how to understand, right? The original tree. So the solution is we need to first cut down this tree. How? By detachment, by the X of detachment. Then one must go on beyond the tree and surrender to Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right? So what is being recommended here? Use the weapon of detachment. But who is saying? Krishna himself is saying. So why real form of tree cannot be understood? Because the root is up and the section is at the other end, right? When we are entangled in material expansion, one cannot see how far the tree extends and where is the beginning, right? It is inconceivable to see, right? How to find out the cause? How to find out the cause? The father's father, right? Right, this the to Brahma, Brahma Loka Garbho Dakshi Vishnu to Krishna. Krishna is the end of research work, right? We have to attain Krishna. So how to search from out that origin? From association of person in knowledge of Supreme Personality Godhead, right? By the spiritual master, by the mercy of the spiritual master, by reading Bhagavad Gita and keeping keep chanting and doing devotional service. Then only one can understand. If you are not doing chanting, now you're not liking the devotional service process, and what will happen, the detachment will not be there. What will happen? And you will be start enjoying again the sense of objects, right? What will happen? We of our process to go to the back to the Godhead will be delayed, right? So what are the benefits of this knowledge? Gradually become detached from the false reflection. Cut off this connection, actually become situated in real tree, right? We need to go to the real tree. So if there is a very importance of this sangha. Asanga Sastrena Dridena Chittava. Very important of the Sangha. But with determination, one must cut down this strongly rooted tree with weapon of detachment. How? Through, through basically getting involved through the Sadhu Sangha. One who knows Supreme Personality Godhead, then only you can go, right? If there is, there is no devotee association, right? There is no, what will happen? The wall of, the Maya will come. Right? Maya will come. Yeah? Even if you give it a small people to come, right? Right, if you are trying to control right, lusty desires, right, what will happen? If you like, okay, one is married and still thinking about other woman, what will happen? He is thinking and he gives the okay, okay, maybe I will do, maybe I will do, right? What will happen? That the Maya will, capture it. The once the Maya captures, what happens? Then the fall down happens, right? So one has to be detached, right? One has to be detached. What he has to do? He has to have sadhu sangha. He has to have devotees association, right? He has to keep chanting, right? One must be, very careful regarding this. So how? So 15.4, find one in knowledge, right? Second one, the surrender to the Lord, and then third, attain the eternal abode, right? So we need to find one in knowledge. First is what? Find a correct spiritual master, right? Srila Prabhupada. So detachment from bodily platform of life. We in this world today use people and love things, right? We in this world today, what we do? We use people, right? And love things. What we need to do? We need to love people and use things. But we are doing the opposite, right? So parents getting old, discard them old age home, right? Married life getting difficult, discard them divorce, right? Kids do not discard them residential school, right? We are just, running from the things, right? Miseries, right? Running for the miseries. Friends too selfish, discard them unfriend. We are unhappy with ourselves, discard your society, right? But if phone screen is shattered, no. What we do? We don't do that, right? So we are more careful with we are loving our phones, but we are not loving our people, right? So what will happen then? How can we love God, right? If we can't love people around us, how we can love the God, right? Because all the people around us are, are the part and parcel of the eternal servitor of the God himself, right? But they are entangled in the three modes of material nature. That is being clarified, right? That gyan, if one knows, then he can love people, right? निर्मणमोह जिता संगदोषा अध्यात्म नित्य विनिर्पिता कामा द्वंद्वैर विमुक्त सुख दुःख समनैर गच्छन्ति अमूढ़ा पदम अव्ययम tat. Those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false association, who understand the eternal, who are done with material lust, who are freed from dualities of happiness and distress, and who, unbewildered, know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, attains to that eternal kingdom. So, who will go to the eternal kingdom? One who is free from false prestige, right? What by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, what we are trying to do? We are getting to being getting to be freed from false prestige, illusion, false association. Understand, we need to understand who the eternal is, right? One is reading again and again, He Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. Shiva is saying that Krishna is the supreme, Brahma is saying, right? Everyone is saying, but we are not able to understand. So what we do? We start doing the devotional service, we start following the orders of, then we will able to understand, right? That will purify one, right? So who are, one is done with the material lust, right? Whatever material desires, he is done with it, right? Nothing is coming out, nothing good is coming out of the material lust, nothing is coming out good out of it. Who are freed from dualities of happiness, distress, right? Happiness and distress come and go. Sometimes happiness is there, sometimes distress is there. He is freed, right? It will come and go because this world is dukhalayam ashashvatam, right? So always dukhalayam will be there, and it will be temporary, right? It will be temporary. One needs to go to the permanent world, and who unbewildered know how to surrender, right? How to surrender onto the supreme person, right? Attain to the eternal kingdom. So one becoming perfect, then only he will enter to the Goloka Vrindavan. Unless one is not done all this, he will not be able to enter, right? So here is, how to enter. He is also shown here. Text 5. So who will be able to surrender to the supreme person? Nirmama, right? Nirmana, one who is free from false prestige and pride. Moha, freedom from illusion. One is not into moha, illusion, right? One's child, gone, one's child is gone, but he is still attached, he is still but he, if he knows that no, the body, the soul is still there, the body has gone, the soul is, eternal, the soul, nothing has happened to the soul, he is free from the illusion then, right? Chitta Sangha dosha, freedom from false association. One should be, we have freedom from false association, right? One has to have sadhu sangha. Adhyatma nitya, understand the eternal, right? Dvandvarma mukta, freedom from the dualities. One will be free from dualities, right? The happiness and distress. Vinirvritta kamaha, done with the material lust and unbewildered, right? One is done with the material lust, then he will be at peace, right? So what is the transmigration, right? Na tadbhashyate suryo na sashank na suryo na sashanko na pavaka yadgatva na nivartante tadharma parmam mama. That abode of mind is not illumined by sun or moon, nor by electricity. One who reaches it never returns to the material world, right? There is no sun there, there is no moon there, because the effulgence of the Lord is enough. Right? He himself is the, Brahma Jyoti. He himself is the all the light is coming from here, and the outside one is the Brahma Jyoti, right? So he is himself is illuminated, right? He doesn't need the sun and the moon, right? Always, beautiful picture. So characteristics of Lord Supreme Abode, Tad Dhama Paramam Mama, right? That abode is not illuminated by the sun, moon, fire, or electricity. Nothing is needed. Once attained, one never returns to the material world. 15.7, right? Now he will tell the how you are the part and parcel of him. So he says, Ma Maivamsh Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, Manasasthani Indrani, Prakrti Sthani Karshati. He says, Ma Maivamsha, my Amsha, right? My Amsh. He is saying my Ansh, right? Mere Ansh, right? The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. He says, my Vamsha, right? So we are part and parcel. From this shloka, we know that we are the part and parcel of the God, right? So due to condition, Jiva Bhuta Sanataha, Jiva Bhuta Sanata, eternal, right? Due to conditioned life, right? Due to Mana Sastani Prakriti Sani Karshati. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, right? There are the five senses, we know, and the sixth one is the mind, right? Mind is there, right? Mind is there, which include the mind, right? Mana Sanstani Indriyani, right? After the final sixth sense is the mind, right? Because we are struggling due to the mind. Mind, what does the mind do? Thinking, feeling, and willing. So what does he want? It has desires, right? Then we are into the desire circle, vicious circle. What is the identity of the living entity? Original position, living entities are eternal part and parcels of Krishna. Mamamsha. Living entity belong to the supreme world in the spiritual world. Where we belong, we are the spiritual beings, right? Where we belong? In the spiritual world, right? We are currently into the material world, which is 25%. So we are not belong here, right? We are, because just because of our karmic activities and three more material, we are here, and because of the desires. So current position, they are now struggling hard with mind and senses in the world, right? Just because we have some mind, and we are struggling with the desires. 15.8. The Shariram yad avapnoti yad chapi ut, उत्क्रामतीश्वरः घृत्वेतानि संयाति vayurgandhani vashyat. The living entity in the material world carries his different conception of life from one body to another as the air carries aromas, right? Right. One more, shloka we learned before in the second chapter. Dehenosmin yatha kaumaram yaumanajara tatha dehantarpapte dhirasatram uyate. Dehenosmin yatha right? One is changing clothes, right? Similarly body is body is basically the soul is changing clothes. Similarly here is also mentioned the living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions. He has different conceptions, right? Different conceptions because of his consciousness. He has different conceptions now, and he is is basically carries from one life of one body to another as the air carries aromas. So process of transmigration is given here. One who refutes this transmigration, for them, it is the inner shloka. The process of transmigration is explained. The living entity acquires a material mind, right, and carries different conceptions of life from one body to the next, as the air carries the aromas. The living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, tongue, and nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. It thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects, right? Because we have, basic various consciousness, so we will acquire various, different kinds of, you have a ear of a bear, you have a ear of a, lion, or ear of a, a human, right? So we take some gross body, right? As per, as per our karmas. In the human form also, we have different kind of ear, tongue, and nose, right? Sense of touch, right? Which are grouped by about the mind. Because as per our consciousness, everything is pendulum. It thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects, right? So living entities are seeking another gross body, right? Here the srotram means ear. Chakshuha means eyes. Sparshanam means sense of touch. Rasanam means tongue. Grahanam means nose. Adhisthayana is situated in mind, right? To take away, there was a brahmachari, who has to study, Gita. Rats bother him. He got a cat. And cat bothered him. He got a cow. For cow care, for cow care got married. For white troubles, rebels him for a child. Now he gave a child. Now child was bothering him, so didn't study a single shloka. Right? So what we have to, one is basically entangled too much in the mind, right? Too much in the mind. Due to the mind, we are not able to attain the supreme, right? Mami vamsa jiva loke, mami vamsa jiva loke, jiva bhuta sanatana. Manah sanstani indrani prakriti sani kashati, right? Just because of mind, this all the miseries are there, right? Because of the desires we have. उत्क्रमन्तं सितं वापि भुजनं वा गुणान्वितं विमूढानानुपश्यन्ति पश्यन्ति ज्ञानचक्षुषा. The foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of modes of nature, right? They're not able to, one is not able to basically understand how a living entity is quit his body, right? Because it's more small, right? The soul, and it's very small, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of modes of nature, right? The three modes of nature are so much attacked, doing, he's assuming that he is the doer, right? But he is not the doer, right? Ahankara vimodata kartaham iti manyate, right? But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this, right? One who has knowledge, he will know that, okay, what is happening, right? One is basically not a mechanic, and trying to fix a car, what will happen? He can't do anything. So a mechanic is needed, right? So similarly, we need a spiritual master who can know that, okay, this body, what is this body? This, we don't know the manual of this body. We have the body, we have the car, we are driving the car, but we don't know how to fix it, right? It happens. We are, whatever car we have, we don't know the, details of the car, right? But we are still driving. So similarly, our body, we are driving it, but we don't know about it. So what we need, a spiritual master with the manual, right? A bona fide spiritual master. 15.11. The endeavoring transcendentalist who is situated in self-realization can see all this clearly, right? So, because, in the previous chapter also we learned that one was to approach the spiritual master, who has seen the truth, right? तद्विधि प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदेक्षन्ति the ज्ञानम ज्ञानिनस tattva darshana. Because ज्ञानिनस tattva darshana means the jnani, the one who has the spiritual master, has seen the truth. Jnaninas tattva, that he has seen the truth, so one needs to approach him. The endeavoring transcendentalist who is situated in self-realization can see all this clearly, but those who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try to, right? You don't know what is happening with you, don't know what is happening with others, or don't know what is happening in the world, just because one is not having the knowledge, right? Correct knowledge. The result, those who are not trained in knowledge, is ignorance, right? What is the cure of this ignorance? Knowledge. How to, because if you don't know anything, you acquire the knowledge, then you know the thing. You don't know how to fix a car, acquire the knowledge to fix the car. So those who are trained can see, trained can see all this clearly because their minds are clarified by yoga practice and thus situated in self-realization. He has seen the truth, right? They have realized it, so they will, tell the process, right? So, but those whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try to. So, bhakti yogis are the actual yogis, have self-realized self, world, and a supreme Lord, can see things as they are. Come to the third part. What is the Krishna's position as the maintainer, right? The 15.12, the splendor of the sun, the which dissipates the darkness of the whole world, comes from me, right? Previously also he told that he, there the sun is not required, the moon is not required, electricity is not required. Why? Because the splendor of the sun, because the splendor of the sun which dissipates the darkness of this world is coming from him only, right? And the splendor of the moon and the splendor of the fire are also from me. Previously he told that it is not required in his abode. Why? Because here is the answer. Because everything is coming from him. Then why it is required? So Krishna is the maintainer of the material. What is the benefit of such a conception of life as given in this verse? Right, the sun, the moon, the electricity, the fire, the splendor comes from Supreme Personality Godhead, right? So here is the, it is not needed there, right? All the things are not needed there, right? So because if you remove, in this Gita itself, we can see that if you remove this, the Krishna is removed from the Gita, then what will happen? From where, person is basically thinking, because he is against the Mama Vamsha Jiva Loke. Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, right? From his we are the eternal fragmental parts, right? If one is not a devotee, one cannot understand, right? 15.13. कामविश्य च भूतानि धर्मे अहम ओजसा पुष्णामि चाशुधि सर्वा समो भूत्वा रसात्मकः. I enter into each planet, right? If Shirodaksha Vishnu enters into each planet, and by my energy they stay in orbit. I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables, right? So by just seeing, he impregnates, right? We learned in the previous chapter. The Krishna is the maintainer of the material world. All planets float in air only by the Lord's energy, right? The Lord's energy is there. That's why in the space everything is being floated. It's set like that. The Lord's holder, right? Which gives vegetable, right? Vegetables are nourished by the moonshine and which comes from the Lord, right? अहम वैष्णवरो भूत्वा परिणीनाम देहम आश्रिता परा प्राणपान समायुक्ता पचामि anam chaturvedam. I am the fire of digestion in every living body, right? He is the fire of digestion, because if there is no fire, basically, when we eat, our body gets eaten. That's why it's not recommended to take a bath after eating, right? So I am the fire of digestion in every living body, and I am the air of life, outgoing and incoming, by which I digest the four kinds of food stuff, right? So if there is no fire, then what will happen? Digestion will not occur. So Krishna is the maintainer. How? How? He is the fire of digestion. If there is no fire in in digestion, then what will happen? The foodstuff will not be there, right? So he is the maintainer. So digest, we need Krishna's energy as fire and life airs, right? Outgoing and incoming. The prana vayu we needed, and the fire is needed. So he is the maintainer. If it is not there, we are not there. The food is, four kinds of foodstuffs we take. One is the swallowed, right? One is chewed, one is licked, and one is sucked, right? Four kinds. Chaturvid, right? Chaturvid. So one is, there are four kinds of foodstuffs that we offer to the Lord also. Sarvasya, right? 15.15. We have heard about this shloka again and again, right? Sarvasya chaham hridishani vishto mata smritir jnanam aponam cha vedasya sarver aham eva vedyo vedanta krid vedavid eva chaham. I am seated in everyone's heart, right? Sarvasya chaham hridishani vishto, in everyone's heart. And from me come remembrance. Mata smritir. Smritir means remembrance. Jnanam, knowledge. Aponam cham, and forgetfulness. Everything is coming from him. We remember how to serve the Lord through, from Him only. If we have the mercy, then we will remember. Vedascha sarver ahameva vedyo. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. To whom to be known? Krishna to be known, right? We need to know Krishna by the Vedas. If we read Vedas and we don't know Krishna, then nothing has been achieved by reading the Vedas, right? If you know Krishna by reading the Vedas, then it's the best thing, right? Vedanta Krit Veda Videyama Cham. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, right? Because he is the compiler and I am the knower of the Veda, right? One breath, by just breathing, right? By just air coming out, the Vedas are coming. By air coming out, the Brahma is coming. With it, the manual is coming. The manual is of the Vedas is coming. The Vedas are present from the trillions of years, right? So what will happen after that? The Vedas will be there, and you can know Krishna because it's coming from him. So the purpose of Vedas is to know Krishna. If one doesn't know Krishna, then nothing you know. So the yoga of the Supreme is Sarvasya Chaham Hridaya. Everyone, he is seated in everyone's heart. Right? Mata Smritir Jnanam Apunacha. He is the, from him comes the remembrance, right? Knowledge and the forgetfulness. Vedascha Sarver Ahame Vidya. From him, all the Vedas, all the Vedas, he is to be known, right? Vedanta Krit Veda Evideva Chavan, right? The Ved Vyas is writing, the Vedas, Ved Vyas is writing just by because the Krishna has given him the knowledge of the Veda, right? So he's writing all the Vedas. Hare Krishna. Does anyone want to volunteer to read this? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Anyone wants to volunteer to read this?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Madhuri. Please go ahead.
Bhagavad Gita 15.15 New Mayapur, August 5, 1976. Knowledge given by the Paramatma from the within the core of the heart is explained by the modern scientists as intuitions. They don't know that where from the intuition is coming. and that is coming from God. Therefore, it is stated Mataha from me, Smriti Jnanam Apochanam Cha. A small cub dog, it has not opened the eyes, but still immediately after the birth, it is seeking the nipples of the mother. So, where from the knowledge comes? From, from his within, and that is from God. I explained the Vedas means just like a dictaphone, dictaphone machine is manufactured along with one literature is also compiled. So customers they are given in delivery for the machine as well as the literature how to use it. The Vedas therefore the Krishna it says that Vedanta Krita, I am the compiler of the Vedas because if he does not give the literature then how he will use the machine. The manufacturer of the machine he knows how to use it but only how to use it. For it, what for it is, how to manipulate it. Everything is there. The Vedic knowledge means that. The Vedic knowledge means that we have come to this material world. So just like we have purchased the machines for some Vedic, for some enjoyment. Similarly, we are following that material world for some material purpose. So Krishna has given, God has given literature. If you will be guided by the literature, that your propensity to enjoy the material world will be fulfilled. At the same time, you will again be able to go back to God. So now you discuss this point that why we come to material world and what is the purpose. These are things you mentioned in the Vedas. Vedas give you the knowledge about the relationship with God. That is the first knowledge. And then, according to the relationship, if you add your right director, ultimately the goal is to go back to Godhead. So, discuss this point if you have anyone, any doubt, any question. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Hare Bol Mataji. So basically, the Vedas, the purpose of the Vedas are basically the manual, right? Manual, right? Where like we buy a machine, we are getting the machine with the manual, because he is saying Mritis Jnanam Aponam Cha, right? He gives, he gives all the remembrance, right? Scientists are also pivotal, and he gives the best example. Prabhupada gives the best example of a any human life or any animal, but he automatically searches for the mothers, right? Or the mothers, so that seeking the nipple so that he can have the milk, right? So that is the all the remembrance and all this, you can see in your, if you see the today's child, they know how to use the phone very quickly, at today's age, right? So that is that is the remembrance which is being getting, because we are conditioned souls is there, conditioned souls are there. So they are already conditions with various various things. So the conditioned souls are there, they don't know what they have done in previous life, but but one is having basically the the intelligence is there, the mind is there, and the false ego is there, that is being carried, due to which the smriti jnanam aponam, he is there. If it is not there, then one cannot even digest his food. If one cannot digest his food and one cannot breathe, what will happen? What will happen? He will die, right? So he is the maintainer, right? Yes, anyone else? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Myself, can I do it, Prabhuji?
Yes, Hare Krishna, Mataji, please, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. The difficulty is when a person is missing the aim of life. His energy is diverted in different misleading ways. Just like our body necessities of life, we require to eat, we require to sleep, we require some sense of pleasure or
Mataji, your voice
satisfaction.
is low, I guess, a little bit more, I guess.
Should
Hare
I talk
Krishna.
loudly?
Yes, Mataji, your voice is coming low.
Okay, I'll try. Otherwise,
Everyone is getting the, maybe I am getting low voice. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. The difficulty is when a person is missing the aim of life, his energy is diverted in different misleading ways. Just like our bodily necessities of life, we require to eat, we require to sleep, we require some sense of pleasure or sex pleasure, and we require some defense. So that is arranged. Is it okay, Prabhuji?
I think anyone else can say? Is it only me only? Yes, Madhuri, continue. I guess everyone is okay.
So that is arranged. You eat, you sleep, you have wife or husband, enjoy and properly defend yourself. But the business is different. Business is different means living peacefully, he has to realize God, his relationship with God. That is his real business. But because people are not educated to the real business, he thinks that these four principles of bodily necessities of life, eating, sleeping, sex, and defense, that is my business. Therefore, he is transferring from this eating to that eating, from this sleeping to that sleeping, from this sex to that sex, from this defense to that defense, because he has no other idea. That is the difficulty. He's thinking that sex life from this person to that person will be nice, but that is not. Sex life by the dogs, by the hogs, or by the man, the same pleasure. That I have repeatedly said, that any nice, tasteful, eatable, either you keep it or in the golden pot or in the iron pot, the taste is same. But he, rascal, does not know. He thinks that if I put it in the golden pot, it will be more tasteful. This is going on. The sex life is the same. He's thinking in the human form of sex in the very nice apartment. So many decorated. It will change the quality of the sex between dogs and dogs? No. Will that? No, that will not change the same taste, because he has no other engagement, better engagement. Therefore, he is trying to improve these things, the tendency for these things. That is his trouble. He is becoming entrapped. Sometimes he is enjoying as a man, sometimes he is enjoying as a hog, sometimes he is enjoying as a dog, as a demigod, but the enjoyment is the same. But that he does not know. He has to go beyond this, transcend this enjoyment. That information he has no. That is the difficulty. So God gave us all facility. We wanted to enjoy in a particular situation, and God gives us facility for that situation, and also gives also instructions. Now you wanted, just like one is very much addicted to eating flesh or blood. So God gives him the chance to accept the body of a tiger. And he's given all facilities, the nail, the jaws, and gives instructions. Now you can enjoy. So he'll give us all the facilities. But if you want his instruction, that what will be good for me, then he says, Sarva Dharmam Paritya Parityajya Mam Ekam. BG 18.66. You will give up this business, simply surrender unto me. I will take protection. So, if we are intelligent, we shall take his final instruction and follow it and be happy. That's all. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Thank you, Mataji. So basically, what we learned from this, the summarize is that the pleasure that we are seeking, the pleasure that we are seeking in different vessels or different plates, food in different plates, or the sex life in different vessels, is all the same. Enjoyed by the dogs and the hawks and the human beings. Ultimately, the ultimate pleasure is the same, but we need to have the higher taste. How to have the higher taste? Well, basically, higher taste is the transcendental taste, right? So, but one needs to know this. How to know this? By reading the Bhagavad Gita, chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. If one is not access, no access to this information, that it is very unfortunate. One must be, one has the mercy. If you can get some mercy to read the, Bhagavad Gita and try to, and develop self-realization, then there is nothing like it, right? So God does, if you try to have the pleasure, then what he says, then he gives all the facility. He gives the human form, he gives the animal form. You enjoy as per your wish. He takes note down the, Obdashtanu Mantacha. He takes down. He's the permitter verse here. The Paramatma is taking down all the desires. He will give birth. Okay, you want to enjoy this? Okay, you enjoy this. You take this life. Become this. Become this. Now you are satisfied. Okay, you want to enjoy this. Okay, now you have birth like this, right? So every time he is taking a note of it, he is giving birth and again, yeah, so that you can, basically try to enjoy like that. Enjoying propensity is right, but one has to transcend this. So how he tells that? So he gives the solution. Sarmadharman parityaja mam ekam sharanam vaja, right? Aham tvama papebhyo mokshishyami mam sucha, right? So he says that you give up all this business, simply surrender unto me. I will take protection. All the sinful activities, will be gone to the zero, right? And now you come to, right? So we just need to, yeah, so if we have some intelligence, we just need to follow him. We just need to follow him. He has given the instruction, he has given the book, right? He has given the book. You follow this, right? You know this, you follow this, you keep following this, you will attain me, right? So the fourth part, right? 15.16 to 20, right? The last part, the three shloka Bhagavad Gita summarizing the Vedas and the Vedanta kinds of living entities, right? So here he says that there are two classes of beings, the fallible and the infallible. Who is the fallible? We are the fallible. The infallible, the supreme personal Godhead, right? In the material world, every entity is fallible, and in the spiritual world, every entity is infallible, right? When you go to the spiritual world, they are all infallible. So one has to become infallible due to our desires, right? So besides these two, there is a greater living personality, the Lord himself, who has entered into these worlds and is maintaining them, right? Through Shirodaksha Vishnu, right? He has entered into every living atom, right? And every living entity. And what he is doing? He is maintaining also, right? So like here, this is the best example, there was, Narkasura was a, demon was there, and he kidnapped, 16,000. He wanted, kidnap, 16,000, girls, in a palace, huge. He has a huge palace, various chemical warfares, all the weaponry system were there. Huge three-headed demon, he was there. So Krishna went. And he, Satyabhama, he took Satyabhama, and basically, and then, rescued them. He killed and Kasura, come here, with the Gada, he smashed everything, he just smashed the whole palace, and, ultimately, rescued all them. Now they, the all Mataris were, basically worried that now you tell me, Krishna, that what is, they were all crying, right? They were all crying, and they were saying that, right, what will happen to us, right? What will happen? The hero has come, the Krishna has come now. What will happen to us if you go home? They will say that everyone is this kind, who will marry us? So he transformed into various, expanded himself. He expanded into 16,108 forms, right? In the same Krishna. So when then he called then he called Vishwakarma. Then he called Vishwakarma, that Devata demigod Vishwakarma, that, build a palace, in the Dwarka. I am coming. They should be, it should be made by the time I come. So all the palaces were made then and there in the Dwarka. All the palace, Krishna was to leave. Then Narad Muni basically come, then, visited those palace. He saw that, in some places, as a Grahastha, Krishna is talking to wife, Krishna is talking, talking to the child, he's taking care of the child, he's, feeding the cow, he's, all the grahastha things that has to be done, Krishna is doing it. Each and every palaces simultaneously was there. And when, he comes out, for the general assembly, all the Krishna used to come out and, become one, and, conduct the general assembly. So this is the appearance of the Krishna, right? So he is the maintainer, right? Just because all the mother is, just because they had sincere, sincere efforts, they were surrendered onto the Supreme Personality Godhead. So he reciprocated, right? So he reciprocated accordingly, because they were crying, and, they were sincere, and they were sincere that, okay, they have surrendered. So sincerely, if one has surrendered, it takes care. He so much takes care. He becomes himself. He takes care, right? So he becomes the husband of them, right? So much piousness, so much, how much pious activities they all could have done. So become the Lord, the goddess Lakshmi. Being basically the wife of the, Janardana, the Lord Krishna, one has to become a Lakshmi, right? They all are Lakshmi only, right? So they all become, so much pious activities they have done. So just become, how fortunate they are, become the wife of Lord Krishna because of sincere surrender. The only thing is sincere surrender, right? 15.8 यस्मात् कश्यरम् अतीतोऽहम् अक्षरादपि चोत्तमः अतोऽस्मि लोके वेदे च प्रथितः पुरुषोत्तमः. He is the Purushottama, right? Because I am transcendental, right? He is transcendental. beyond both the fallible and infallible, right? We have the gross body, we have the subtle body, then there is the sort of transcendental body of us, right? Then there is a soul, right? But he is only made up of this transcendental body, right? So beyond both the fallible and the infallible, he is beyond both the fallible and infallible. And because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as that supreme person. Here he is declaring that he is the Purushottama, right? He is the Purushottama, right? He is celebrated in both worlds. Atosmi loke Veda cha pratita Purushottama, right? 15.16, we learned there are two kinds of living beings, right? Living entities. The one is the fallible and the conditioned one in the material world, and infallible liberated in the spiritual world. Right? 17, we learned the supreme soul is master of both, right? He is the greatest personality. He enters the three words and then maintains him, right? And then Krishna says, I am that supreme soul, celebrate both in the world and in the Vedas as the supreme person, right? Here, everyone is worshipping him, right? All the heavenly demigods are worshipping, right? Shiva is saying he is the god, right? And Brahma is saying he is the god, right? So everyone is, he is, everyone is, basically worshipping the Shrudakshay Vishnu here, right? So here everyone is worshipping, but living entities are not, assuming that they are not worshipping, right? So Brahma is worshipping. Parvati himself asked, Shiva, Lord Shiva, that whom you are worshipping, right? Whom you are worshipping. He says that I'm worshipping the Lord Rama. So everyone is worshipping the Lord, right? You can see because everyone holds the beads to say the name of the Lord, but Lord himself doesn't have any beads, right? He doesn't have any beads, right? Because he is in everyone's heart, right? He is in everyone's heart. That's why he is the Purushottama, right? Rest all have the beads just to chant, right? 15.9 Yo mameva sammuddho ya janati purushottama sa sarvavid bhajati mam sarva bhavena bharata. Whoever knows me as the supreme personality godhead without doubting is to be understood as the knower of everything, and he therefore engages himself in full devotional service, O son of Bharata, right? So if one knows that he is the supreme personality godhead, right? Shiva is knowing, Brahma is knowing, everyone is knowing that he is the supreme personality godhead. What he will do, without doubt, he will understood that he is knower of everything, right? And he therefore engages in full devotional service, right? He will be engaged in the devotional service because he now have the higher taste. He is not into the sense objects. He is not into the various fruits of the activities. He is into the higher taste. So 15.1, this is the most confidential part of the Vedic scripture, right? He is the supreme personality of Godhead. That is the Vedic scripture, right? Sorry. So this is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures, right? That he is the supreme personality of Godhead, right? So, O sinless one, and it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavors will know perfection, right? So, this is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures, right? He is to be known, right? O sinless one, and it is disclosed by now by me. So, it is disclosed it. So, whoever understands this will become wise, right? One who knows that there is Krishna, the Supreme Personality, he is the maintainer, he is the caretaker, right? He is everything. So, what will he know? He will know the perfection. He will not be worried about anything in this world because the Supreme Personality Godhead is the only maintainer. Right? So thus we come to the summary. The Krishna explained in this chapter the essence of Vedanta, right? The most confidential part or substance of the Vedas, right? What is the result of understanding? One endeavors to know the perfect, will know the perfection. What is the qualification to understand the Purushottama Yoga? Purushottama Yoga, that he is the sinless, right? One has to be sinless. To understand a Purushottama Yoga, one has to be sinlessness, right? Sinlessness, how? To follow the four regulative principles. Doing the devotional service itself will get purified. One becomes basically sinless, right? 15.1 to 15, we learned about how to detach by detachment, how to become detached from material world by cutting the becoming detached and going to the spiritual world, right? And then we learned in the second part, that the transmigration, how the transmigration takes place, right? Like the analogy of our aroma is given. The air, as the air carries the aroma, similarly, one is changing his body as per his consciousness, right? And in the third part, we learned as the Krishna's position maintainer, he is maintaining everything, right? Then the fourth part we learned, the three shlokas, that he is the confidential knowledge, that he is the knower to it. Sarvasya Shamra Dishyan Vishnu, right? We learned in that. So we are not the the thinking part. The thinking part is no difference between Krishna and his name, right? Krishna's name and his person are identical, right? What the mind how has to think that one is we think that there is no difference between Krishna and Krishna's name, right? We chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. What is it? There is no difference between Krishna and the names, right? No difference, right? We are not. Secondly, feeling that we are not how to feel it. We are not the body. We are the spirit. We are the servant of the Krishna. Das Anudas, right? We are Das Anudas, right? Willing makes Krishna happy, right? Makes Krishna happy. One is willing to join Krishna, one is willing to surrender to Krishna. What will happen? He makes Krishna. If Krishna is happy, all the demigods are happy. Your soul will be happy. Action is chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, right? So this is the mind should act like this, right? So what is the safety before what are the safety before chanting? There is here are some basically things that are given to basically safety before chanting. Humilicious for chanting, right? Humilicious means why same we feel yum for prasadam, similarly our humilicious for chanting needs to be more, right? Like there is a gulab jamun, there is a there is the favorite dishes there. Similarly humilicious, right? It should be, right? It should be tasteful. It should be, the nectar should be there. The taste must come, right? You're chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Similarly, whatever Jamirishas, whatever, the, you desire to have that, favorite dish, same similarly, should be desire for the chanting also, right? What is that? There is a thanking for Krishna, right? One should have gratitude for Krishna, right? For everything, whatever you have, because it's provided by the Krishna himself. You are living, you are taking, every breath because of him only. If he is not there, then nothing is there. Enthusiasm, one should be enthusiastic. One should be enthusiastic. Yet, yes, he has to do chanting, right? One should be sorry for all his mistake, right? Feel sorry for every wrong things we did in the past. One should be sorry that yes, I have done that, but you need to keep chanting. One should be attentive, right? One should be attentive. One should not, go to the mobile, and one should not read books, doing other things, right? Other activities should not be there, right? Multitasking should not be there. One should have a forgiveness attitude. Forgiveness for people who did wrong to us, right? One should not, curse other ones, right? Or one should not be, do that like that. One should forgive everyone, right? Don't hold anything inside the heart, right? Today's chapter is over. Hare Krishna. Any doubts? Hare Krishna. Any doubt on today's chapter? Today's smallest chapter in this Bhagavad Gita. 20 shlokas are only there. It's a very beautiful chapter and declares he is the Purushottama. He is the ultimate maintainer, controller.